Ciao friends, welcome to Simple Italian Cooking. If you're looking for a new way to make your standard meatloaf, I've got one for you today. It's an Italian meatloaf. Some people say that it's like a big giant meatball. Well, my name is Liz and I'm going to step you through the process from making it right in your own home. Super easy. That's what I'm about. Italian recipes that are easy and simple, and really Italian cooking is simple and it doesn't have to be complicated to taste amazing, and this is one of those recipes. So I'm so excited. We're going to go through it. I've had this recipe forever, haven't done a video on it, and so you follow along with me in the kitchen, or if you want, just sit back, watch, and soak up the great information. So let's go ahead and get started here. I'm I'm actually putting on some gloves because I know I'm going to need them. I'm using food grade gloves because I just want to handle beef like the way we're going to today. It's just easier cleanup. So in terms of what you need, let's go over that. You need about a pound of ground beef. Now I am using, I think it's 93.7. You can use one that's fattier. You can use one that's leaner. If you go very, very lean, then you're really going to have to add in more milk and more breadcrumbs, okay? All right, so I have here 3/4 of a cup. I almost forgot how much it was. 3/4 of a cup of breadcrumbs. Now, these are just homemade. If you want to use store-bought breadcrumbs, that's totally fine. It's not used as a coating. It's just going to be blended in with everything. I think, if you have Italian seasoned breadcrumbs that you really like, you can try that. It just really depends on what herbs are in there because we're going to be adding our own herbs, okay? And in terms of dried herbs, you can use fresh or dried. But what I'm using today is I have 1 tablespoon of dried basil and 2 tablespoons of dried parsley. You can also add in a little dash of oregano. Oregano can really overpower this recipe, so if you're going to put some oregano in, just cut back on it a little bit. You don't need a lot. Or if you have Italian seasoning that you're using for the breadcrumbs that already have herbs and it has oregano in it, then you can really just kind of omit these dried herbs. All right, so we have 1/3 of a cup of milk. I'm just using whole milk. You can use 2% if that's what you have. 1 egg. We're going to beat it. Well, actually, we're just going to add it and mix it all in. We don't have to pre-beat it. And then what we have here is 1/4 of a cup of Romano cheese. So you'll notice that my recipe does not use a ton of cheese in it. It simply doesn't need it. So you can modify this. This is a flexible recipe. Romano has a very strong taste, much stronger than when you use Parmesan. So if you're using Parmesan, I would definitely add maybe double the amount of cheese. But with this Romano, it's got a really sharp flavor, and it's a good quality Romano. So I know I'm just not going to need a lot. All right, so let's see. We have salt and pepper. I'm using a dash of both, so about 1/8 of a teaspoon. And then we have here some garlic powder and garlic onion. I don't use garlic powder a lot, but this is one of those recipes where it really does come in handy. And so I'm using 1/8 of a teaspoon for both. You can go up to 1/4 if you want, but you just really got to be careful because you don't want to go too strong. And why am I not using a regular clove of garlic, and chopped onions? I just think it blends better for this type of recipe, but you are more than welcome to chop up some onions. I would say maybe about 1/2 an onion and probably maybe a clove or 2, depending on the size of the garlic. Just chop it up real fine and mix it in. You just want a nice even flavor, so no matter what bite you get when you serve it, that you're not going to have like one bite that's like, whoa, overpowering garlic, and then another one where it's like, where is it? All right, so let's see. And then we are using some diced tomatoes that I have strained. And this is actually going to go on the topping. We're not going to put it inside. A lot of people will actually use just like a marinara or a pasta sauce on top, just like you would with ketchup. That's totally fine. All right, now that we got that out of the way and you know what's involved, let's go ahead and start making it. So you just need a big bowl. By the way, you should preheat the oven to 350 degrees, which I forgot to do, so I'm going to do that right now. Okay, and if you're wondering why I walked over there, that's because I keep my Breville not on the countertop here. I use my Breville Smart Oven. It's like a really kind of glamour toaster oven that is really, really nice, and I use it more than my regular oven. It uses less energy, and I just really, really like it. I don't need to heat this whole thing up for a little thing of meatloaf. All right, so we have that. So let's go ahead and add the milk. Well, let me add the breadcrumbs. And you know, if you ever want to make this even a little bit more healthier, what you can do, and probably nobody would really notice, is you can take those quick cook oatmeal quick cook flakes or whatever, and add that in just a little bit. You know, it's a really great way. It helps bulk up the meal. So let's go ahead and add the rice. The rice I was thinking of, you can also bulk it up with rice. Add the cheese. Add the garlic, and you could technically, actually, if you really want to be picky, mix all the dry ingredients, like the non-meat stuff, in a separate bowl. Maybe I should have done that. Well, it's all right. We're going to mix this baby up. Lots of herbs. Excited about that. And I'm going to go ahead and mix this first, and then I'm going to add in the egg. So I want to make sure that I can get this evenly. There we go. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and add that egg. Make sure there's no shells in there. It's a nice clean break. Okay, now that that's done, go ahead and grab your meatloaf pan. Now, this is just a 1-quart pan. Sometimes I use it for baking bread. But you can also use it for meatloaf. In terms of, you can use really almost any pan you want. It's just a pound of beef, with everything else, so it's not like you need a big, deep pan. You don't need a 13 by 9 baking pan. You just need something that will hold its shape, and that's what we're looking for. So we're going to go ahead and push this to the edges, and notice that I didn't grease it. You don't really need to grease this particular recipe. You don't need to grease the pan, is what I'm talking about. So what we're going to do next is, I'm going to wash my hands, just in case. Then we're going to go ahead and cover it with some foil. Now, I like to do parchment and then a layer. It's ready. That's how quick it heats up. That's, like, amazing. I actually have a review that I did on the Breville, so if you want to check it out, I'll put a link down in the description for you. So I like to do parchment because I just don't like the foil coming in contact with my food. And I know they say it doesn't make a difference, but I just like to be a little extra careful. So I do a layer of parchment and then I put the foil on top. So I'll be back in a sec. So this is what I do. So if anybody else there is curious, I just kind of put the parchment on the foil and then I just attach them together by folding the foil over it on the edge. Just like that. Now you might be wondering, did I forget about the tomatoes? And the answer is no. We're going to add that about 15 minutes before this is ready. I'm probably going to do more like 20 just to really kind of cook them down a little bit more. This is going to go in for a total of an hour. So in 45 minutes, I'm going to check it and see how it's doing. So we want to make sure once it reaches an internal temp of 165, then you know you're good to go. But usually for a meatloaf, it's about an hour. All right. Okay, so I just took the meatloaf out of the oven after 45 minutes of baking. We're not done, and you can tell we're not done. You can just tell by looking at it. It looks really anemic. But I'm going to go ahead and add the tomatoes on now. And I did strain them. I don't really want a lot of juice. The water, I don't want watery stuff on there. Kind of spread it around. And you know, you can use, besides diced tomatoes, you can use fresh tomatoes. You can use cherry tomatoes. You could use, you could also just do like long slices, like just whole slices of tomatoes if you don't want to dice them, and do that for a nice presentation. You can top it with some cheese if you want, but I'm not going to do that at this point. So we're going to put it back in the oven for about another 15 to 20 minutes until we get the temperature just right. Okay, so it's been an hour, and just to let you know that I took off the aluminum foil about the last 10 minutes or so. Probably didn't even need to have the foil on when I put it, I just kind of forgot. So let's go ahead and take a bite and see how it tastes. It looks and smells delicious. Just a little end piece there. And personally, I like the fact that it has the tomato pieces on top. I really like that. And there's so much you could do with that. You could even do the tomatoes, put them in a bowl, strain them, put them in a bowl, do a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of oregano. I think the oregano on top would be really good instead of like inside the meat. And then you can even do some cheese, add some cheese into that if you want more cheese on top. But I'm just going to go ahead and see how this tastes just as it is. I know it'll taste good. Yep. I love this recipe. It is so delicious. My meatloaf is really nice and moist. It got to a temperature of about 170 when I tested it, so I knew it was ready to come out. And I tested it, you know, in the center and everywhere else. But this is really good. I mean, even just the tomatoes, you would think that the tomatoes from the can just wouldn't have much flavor on top as it's cooked, but it does. It really, really does. I'm always kind of shocked at that. Well, friends, I have to tell you, such a great recipe. It's even better than a big meatball. I mean, it's Italian meatloaf, and such a great alternative. You can use this for parties. You can use it for Sunday dinners or midnight, whatever. Midweek, I mean, midnight. But anyway, yeah, I mean, you can serve this with pasta. You can serve it with not chicken. You can serve it with a salad, with potatoes, with the side of zucchini, vegetables. So many things you can serve this with. It's just an absolutely wonderful. Don't forget the bread. So, well, listen, I want to thank you again for watching. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe. Join our newsletter. We got more stuff coming out. Really want you to be a part of it. Well, thank you so much for watching. Grazie e ciao.